Hello guys, welcome to today's video. For today I'm going to review, document, and demo this really cool guitar right here, which is the Ibanez RG450EXB in classic yellow with black. So this guitar has a Wizard 3 maple neck. It's a one-piece neck and the headstock is painted to match the theme of the body, which is obviously black and yellow. The fretboard has shark tooth inlays, or I don't know exactly what Ibanez calls these, but that's what I'm going to call them on this video. This guitar is equipped with Ibanez Quantum pickups, which sound really good, but I'll talk more about that later. This guitar also has a Floyd Rose it's basically Ibanez's take on the Floyd Rose. It's not an Ibanez Edge 1, 2, or 3. It really is like an Ibanez branded Floyd, but for what it's worth, it's just as good as many of the other Floyds that I've used in the past. And this guitar just looks really cool. It's got like an 80s thing going on. The back of this guitar, nothing too spectacular going on there. It's a one-piece neck, like I stated earlier. It's got bolt-on construction. It does have like a belly carve there, and it does have like a little carve on the neck joint so you can reach the higher frets, which is always appreciated even though you don't need it. And the input jack is on the side of the guitar there. I'll zoom in here in just a minute. And the tuners on this guitar are just like cheap Ibanez tuners, but for what it's worth, they hold tune pretty well. So this guitar is equipped with Ibanez Quantum pickups, which sound really good. You can make them sound like almost anything you want, and they have 5 different pickup configurations depending on where you put the blade switch. The neck has a white binding all around except on the headstock. The headstock has a different kind of binding. It's a very thin layer of black binding between the top layer of paint and the exposed wood part of the neck. I'll try to capture it for you guys, but it's kind of hard here. Maybe I'll have to use a different angle there. And also the fret markers are only apparent on the top of the binding on the neck. The body of the guitar is pretty much a solid color. It doesn't have binding, but it isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just adds to the 80s theme of it. And as I stated earlier, it does have like a belly carve and also a carve on the neck joint so you can reach the higher frets. The fretboard is a little dry and reddish from what you guys can see, but I'm pretty sure that's a quick fix with some lemon oil. So these guitars go for around $400 new. You can find them in the used market from $300 to $400, and there's different colors and all that fancy stuff. But I believe that for what you pay for, this is a really good deal. Like, these are really good guitars. In terms of tonal range, these pickups will sound like almost anything you need them to. In terms of construction and feel, this guitar gives you everything you need, as well as it'll last you a long time if you take good care of it. Again, this is just a great guitar for the money. This is the first RG I've ever owned, and I can see what all the fuss is about. the body of this guitar is a little bit heavy. I would say 5 to 6 pounds, whereas the neck is super lightweight, so you can't even feel it. But in a way this is good because you'll never have neck dive with this guitar. And honestly, you don't really feel it if you like have a strap on this guitar. You can totally feel it if you're holding the guitar as I am right now, where you have to be really careful not to drop it because you can feel the body is heavy. But it is pretty comfortable when you're sitting or when you're standing. And I appreciate that Ibanez added a little belly carve and then like the carve on the neck joint to reach the higher frets. That's always appreciated on a quote-unquote lower-end guitar, and it just adds to make it a little more comfortable. But overall, I do like this guitar. It's very good guitar. If you own one of these and you're an advanced guitar player and you can't really afford like a super higher end Ibanez, I don't think you should be ashamed. I think you should be proud, because this is a really good guitar, and honestly it looks just as good as like the higher end RGs. So if I compare this guitar to my Ibanez E-Gen, which is a $2,500 guitar, I don't feel like there's a $2,000 gap in terms of sound and quality in these guitars. And that's not to talk the E-Gen down, but to talk the RG up. Because even though, yes, the E-Gen has a ton of bells and whistles, the RG will give you everything you need in terms of playability and sound if you're a good guitar player. And if you, again, are a good guitar player, you shouldn't need those bells and whistles to sound good or to be good. Okay, so final thoughts on this guitar. In terms of sound, I would give it an 8.5, maybe even a 9 out of 10. These pickups are very versatile and they sound very good. In terms of construction, I would give this guitar a 9 out of 10. It's very well made and it'll last you a long time if you take good care of it. In terms of aesthetics, I'm being a little biased against it, but I would give it an 8.5 out of 10, maybe a 9 if it was a different color. In terms of feel, I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's comfortable when you play with it sitting down, it's comfortable when you play with it standing up, but it is a bit heavy. I won't be keeping this guitar just because I already have my E-Gen, and basically that guitar gives me everything I need in terms of necrophagist or a Steve Vai sound. So basically this guitar right here I'm gonna end up selling. If I were ever to get rid of my E-Gen, I would totally get one of these, maybe in blue. But I was very impressed with what this guitar has to offer. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comments and I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Besides that, you guys stay safe and I'll see you in the next video.